viewers. I am Justin Beheading, here on behalf of Without Your Head, to present you with my first review for the podcast. I was asked by Nasty Neil personally to see if this is something I would like to do on more than one occasion, and at one point when we were doing our last video together, he asked me personally once again if I wanted to do this, and so I figured, why not? It's an opportunity to do something that I haven't done before, which is actually film movie reviews for all y'all. So, here we go with our first movie review, which is for the independent horror film Founders Day. Founders Day is a modern slasher about a killer who pops up close to the holiday of Founders Day, dressed as a judge, wearing a black gown, an old judge's mask, and using a gavel as a weapon. And the judge happens to appear while there's a political campaign going on between two rival candidates. The film is an homage to 80s slasher movies and 80s Italian giallo thrillers. Let's get to the pros of the film. The movie starts off perfectly with an opening that feels like it belongs in an 80s slasher movie. We're introduced to a lot of the characters who are all ably performed by their cast, and you also start with a great opening death scene. But honestly, after the opening title shows up, that's where the movie slowly starts to go downhill for me. Where the movie fails everything else is in the script and the execution from here on out. First off, you have that opening death scene, and in that opening death scene, the main character Allison sees her girlfriend get butchered by the judge, and she manages to actually get away and runs into this crowd that's arguing back and forth. But then you get to the next scene after that, and while certainly the actress playing Allison does a fine enough job selling that she's distraught over the death of her girlfriend, I feel like the movie doesn't really do her any favors in giving her any real meaty scenes to really sell that. There's never those moments where, she expresses how she's feeling to other people, or at least if there weren't enough of them for me to really feel the impact of it. In fact, it's not even until almost the end of the film that you get a scene where she goes into her high school locker and pulls out a photo of the two of them. And, that's the only moment you get like that. You don't really get too many more moments like that before that scene. And then you have another character named Adam, who's the brother of Allison's girlfriend, and he also unfortunately is given the same kind of treatment where the actor is doing everything he can to pull stuff out of this script, but the script just doesn't give him enough for us to really latch on to how he's feeling, unfortunately, which kind of leaves a lot of the characters and the movie as a whole feeling very bland and dry. But at the end of the day, we're here for the kills. And aside from the opening scene, there is one other kill that is actually pretty epic and pretty great. And it's a movie theater death where this girl is attacked by the judge, and it's the only one where we really get some close-up details of what the gavel is doing to her. Like at one point, she gets knocked down by the judge, and she gets her fingers bashed on the edge of a theater seat. She gets beat to a pulp, and all the while the judge has started the projector in the movie theater and is playing the intermission with all the concession adverts and everything. And then when he finally kills the girl, we cut to a wide shot where you see on the screen behind the judge the words, "And now on with the show," come up. It's a great little moment. It's a great gag. I love it. And then there's another great scene where these kids are in detention. They decide to have sex in the classroom while the teacher's out. When the judge comes in and kills the girl's boyfriend, she immediately runs out while covering her breasts down the hall of the high school and shouts to the teacher that she's learned her lesson. So there are some little gags here and there that are kind of funny here and there. But going back to the boyfriend's death, this is where I officially realized that a lot of the deaths were very tame. Like the most intense one was that movie theater death. But when the boyfriend gets beat to a pulp with the gavel, the camera actually tilts up away from the actor, and just you barely see even a little bit of the judge raising the gavel and bringing it down multiple times as blood shoots up in the air. So it cuts away a lot, unfortunately. And at the end of the day, the judge only uses the gavel, which just shows how much of a limiting weapon it is. And it's not like other slasher movies, like, again, My Bloody Valentine, where even though Harry Warden uses a pickaxe, occasionally he'll use stuff like a nail gun or anything else, or like dunk someone's head in a boiling pot. There's things like that happen in the movie. And unfortunately, the judge is limited to just bludgeoning people to death with the gavel. So you have some bland kills, you have characters who are also very bland, and a movie itself that's also kind of bland. And at times, it's never 100% clear what the motivation of this killer is. And unfortunately, by the end, it's only kind of clear what's going on here. It's got something to do with the political campaign going on in town, but it still never feels like that's entirely the solid reason for everything that's been happening. It's never made 100% clear what the threat the political campaign on either side poses. It's just kind of a vague threat, in my opinion, from what I caught in the movie. And like a lot of slasher films, this one ends on a twist that, I'm not going to lie, I didn't see the twist coming. With all the possible suspects, the person that ended up being the killer is the last person I would have suspected. But with that, they don't really justify that person being the killer. And so I still felt... And, I mean, it's also very convoluted how this person could be the killer or why. And so it was never fully satisfying for me. And then they also brought in another character to further add more explanation, which just made it even more convoluted. And I mean, this is certainly where you get the Giallo influence on Founders Day. But the problem is, while Giallos have had twists just like this movie did, I feel like for as overly talky and explanatory as those movies can get with how they handled the revelation of the twist, I still felt like they kept things even more concise than this final twist did. So Founders Day is a movie that I feel like has a lot of things there that normally would work for me, would normally make for an interesting watch, but at the end of the day, it only kind of satisfied me at the beginning, and over time the film started to kind of just lose steam. And I guess if I had to give this a rating, I would probably give it a 5 out of 10. It's not a bad movie. I mean, if you want to see a movie about Founders Day, a holiday slasher movie about Founders Day, this is really your only option. I do have to say, to the director, Eric Blomquist, I do commend you for getting the film made. It might not have been, in my opinion, the most perfectly executed slasher film, but it's an independent horror film. And as someone who makes such films, like this director, I do have to applaud and commend him for getting the film made, and I look forward to any films that he's bound to make in the future. Have you guys seen Founders Day? Did you like it? Did you not like it? How'd you feel about it? Maybe what's your favorite holiday slasher film? Look forward to more reviews. I'm Justin B. Heading, and I hope to welcome you all back to the headquarters sometime soon.